Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 22 of the Eternal Backlog podcast. How you doing, guys? Have we been eating good or what? Unbelievable. I'm here with Shady Armick, and my goodness me, we have perhaps been treated to more better rated games than we thought at the beginning of this year. And it's not bad. I thought last year started off pretty good. This year's starting off even better by the looks of things.
And we haven't even gotten to Summer Games Fest yet.
Exactly.
We're still a month away
indeed.
from that. Oh, it's going to be
So we've just seen the reviews scores come out for Expedition 33, which looked like it took a little bit of homage from the Persona series, but is hitting 93 out of 100. That's surely going to be something on your
Yeah.
list at some point.
At some point, I still need to play. What's the game called? Refantasio Metaphor,
Yeah.
made by the Atlas team as well. So
There's a
I
whole
I don't know
chunk
if I
of
could
stuff.
spend 2 months though on a solid game, 100% in it, because Persona 5 is probably the most demanding game I've ever played in terms of completion.
Yeah,
That was a lot to deal with. Yeah,
I remember seeing like you were on it for weeks.
2 months.
2
Over
months.
2 months, yeah. And it's all text-based acting as well, so
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot.
So we'll maybe give that a bit of a break. Coming up at today's show, by the way, we have a packed Playstack and that's stuffed to the gills. And our featured game of this episode is going to be, of course,
None other.
none other than the Oblivion Remaster. And we've had a chance to sink our teeth into that. And then our featured discussion piece for this episode. Wow. A lot of things been happening on the PlayStation front here, so I'm looking forward to just getting into that kind of conversation because we have gravitated, we've talked, the first year of the podcast was lamenting Xbox's bad choices,
Mm-hmm.
and it became too much, and now we're officially on the other side. But we'll talk a little bit more about that as things go on. We're going to start off with the obligatory Playstack, and I want to get your thoughts, a bit more of your thoughts of Ghost of Tsushima,
Mm-hmm.
because I saw you streaming some of that stuff, and it
Mm.
does look good. But I wonder, on reflection, how do you think it, feels against, say, something of a, I don't know, maybe Assassin's Creed's a bad comparison. Maybe Ronin would be a better comparison if we get round to that. But
Actually, no, you'd be right about Assassin's Creed, which is what
yeah,
surprised me. Yeah, I walked into this thinking, okay, it's a samurai game. There's a lot of similarities, but it's probably going to differ itself greatly from an Assassin's Creed game.
yeah,
I'll probably say the only thing it doesn't do, like an Assassin's Creed game would do, is have those sort of tower checkpoints where you
mm,
can dive off of, and then it'll unveil a little piece of the map or something. You don't get that, but it is better than any Assassin's Creed game I've ever played.
yeah,
It is just, and it's a PS4 game, PS4 Pro enhanced, I will say, running on a PS5 Pro, which means nothing. I mean, I can play quality mode in 60 FPS, which is gorgeous.
yeah.
Wow, what a game, man! What a game! I definitely see why people spoke so highly of it, and I'm so glad that I'm playing it now with Ghost of Yotei on the horizon.
Mm.
We just got the full trailer drop a few days ago, a good 3-minute trailer, and boy, that thing looks even better.
How does it really?
Yeah,
Okay.
but it follows a lot of the same sort of open world mechanics. You've got an overarching story, of course. You've got to do this thing by the end of the game. And, along the way, you've got people you meet, missions you take up, and you've got your different level of severity. You've got your main missions, your side missions, your little random points of interest on the map. You might find a little hot
Mm.
spring that you'll jump into, reflect on nature, and all of a sudden you've got a health increase, permanent health increase, or you'll find some bamboo shoots in the middle of the ground, and you have to quickly tap in a combination like X circle X really quickly. And if you can get through it,
Right.
your sword gets stronger or something. So it pretty much takes cues from all of the open world games, but I think where Ghost of Tsushima really excels in just its visual design.
Yeah.
It's we got Ghost of Tsushima not right before, but before an Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Hmm.
It was the game that everyone wanted, and it has these really interesting, breathtaking moments where I think the intro is one of the things that people talked about the most when the game did come out. You know, it puts you down this path to a point where you hop on a horse and you're going after someone, and all of a sudden the narrow tree line that you're sort of following just opens up into this big open field with flowers and, you know, shrubbery and everything kind of waving in the wind, and it's really like heavy on the physics stuff as well. That stuff all reacts beautifully. Not much in the way of UI. You got to swipe up on your sort of touchpad to get your this gust of wind in a direction that you need to go, so everything kind of blends in with one another. And I'm just having an overall really pleasant experience with it. I did finish the main campaign. Now I'm
Yeah.
just mopping up the side missions, and there is an expansion included in the director's cut. And I will say, if you haven't played it, definitely play it. There's different sword play as well. You've got different sword play for shielded enemies versus enemies with like a staff, or heavy enemies, or sword only enemies. There's a lot of different things you can do. A lot of side weaponry as well. So if you want to throw like a Death Star or a smoke bomb to disappear out of a sticky situation, you can. What I will say, what that I found was interesting as well, is I I realized it was more like an Assassin's Creed game towards the end of the game rather than the beginning, because in the beginning you don't have all the upgrades and everything. It plays very differently. By sort of the middle to the end, and I'd unlocked a bunch of upgrades. I can assassinate from ceilings, from behind closed doors, from round corners, all that kind of stuff. I can take out heavier enemies because I've leveled up certain perks on the tree. So by the end of it, you are playing an Assassin's Creed game, probably just a lot better, in my opinion.
Nice.
And I haven't played Shadows yet, so I was toying with going into Shadows after Tsushima.
really?
I was, but then I realized I also haven't played Rise of the Ronin, which didn't get
Right.
great reviews. It was okay. But then I'm like, oh, do I want to play 3 samurai games back to back? And of course,
Yeah.
what threw it all off the rails was Oblivion drops out of nowhere. So then that happened. So yeah, great game if you. I mean, it's on PSN Premium, I think, or even Extra maybe. So you can get it for free if you subscribe to one of the higher tiers. If not, it's always on sale. And the director's cut has all the bells and whistles in there. Phenomenal game. And if you're on a PlayStation, it really should be one of the games you should have played in your lifetime.
Yeah. It's still on the list. Not uh, similar with God of War. It's just not there.
God of
It's
War.
uh,
God, I hope they announce a new
sat
one
there
this
with the
year.
box. Sat there in the box, still not played.
You have
But
no idea what an amazing golden nugget you're sitting on with that game. Wow.
what was your because I heard this story today and I don't know if it's true. Supposedly that Ubisoft are now resorting to some really dodgy tactics surrounding negative press with Assassin's Creed Shadows. Now,
In,
I can't confirm whether it is true or not, but some are suggesting that they're threatening legal action against some, people that give it negative press. Now, that sounds to me like
Communist
not
China.
even Ubisoft would do that. So I have to take it with a pinch of salt, whether
I
it's
mean,
true or not, whether it's some rumor just by the people that.
I wouldn't put it past anyone. You know, if you're a company such as Ubisoft and you're dying and your last leg of staying alive as a company is that one game,
Yeah.
and they got a lifeline with it, I'm not going to lie. Everything
Well,
was
they
going
have.
against it. You and I reacted to it a year ago. We were like, oh, this looks rough. It really looked rough. And
Yeah.
they delayed it for a year. I think they delayed it 3 times.
Yeah, something like
And
that.
then there was the whole, controversy surrounding one of the lead characters, and oh god, the social media backlash wasn't great. It had everything going against it, and somehow it managed to survive. I think they said they're up to 4 million players now, which is
Oh,
really
right,
good.
okay. Yeah,
So yeah,
not too bad. Even though Expedition 33 sold 500,000 copies in 24 hours, but
for a team of 30, that's amazing.
it's incredible. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. We both played a bit of Borderlands 3, and then we kind of put it to one side. But I still enjoyed what I'd played Borderlands 3, but I don't know whether it's going to be one that's
I
going
want
to
to
have
get
the
back into it.
stickiness. Yeah.
I think it will. I think, with our day jobs, I think we've just been so busy recently that we just haven't
Mm.
had the time to sink a good number of hours in. But I definitely would like to get back into it. What worries me though is 4 is around the corner, isn't it? September, I think.
That's it. Yeah.
Are we going to burn ourselves out before 4 arrives? Because I want to blow my load before that
Well,
gets here.
yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know if 4 has any interlink with 3 story-wise.
Oh, I don't care about the
Hope not.
story. I just care about the tech, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 came out, what, 10 years ago now, I want to say. Was it 10 years?
I
8
don't know.
years? Something like that.
Been a while, but it still looks pretty. It's still, I mean, compared to playing Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel, you can tell that Borderlands 3 has at least improved in multiple areas, and
Yeah,
then the 4 is looking like it's picking up certain mechanics that you've seen in like Doom games and stuff like that.
yeah.
That'd be
I think
interesting.
4's probably going to go. 4 is probably going to take a lot more advantage of the technical achievements of the newer consoles, really. Because 3 came out during the 1 and the PS4 era. So I would like to see, especially now that they've got this, the SSDs have kind of become the norm in game development. I'd like to see more interesting landscapes.
Yeah,
I kind of hope they do away with all of the sort of, you get to like a door and then you hit it and it goes to like loads another
load screen.
area. Yeah, or use the typical kind of narrow corridor to load up the new assets and then you open up into a new world. Like I want to see that stuff become a bit more mainstream, not even just with Borderlands, but in gaming in general. Because I think
yeah.
I don't think we're taking advantage of that SSD yet. Level design still seems relatively the same, prior
Yeah,
to
no,
that.
it's interesting you say that. There's those similar quirks dominant throughout. Um, I think maybe the Ratchet and Clank game has been the best game to
Probably.
harness,
Yeah.
the SSD properly. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a bit of an odd one that they've not been able to get through that bottleneck. But then if they can't do 60 FPS on a standard PS5 or a Xbox Series X
Yeah.
with confidence, then I guess that's kind of explainable in some regards. Um, obviously we've played Oblivion Remaster, which we'll talk about. I've been playing a lot of different things again. So there's a few that I do want to talk about. I mean, I'll go through the list, but is there any in there that you go, I want to really I'm really intrigued to hear thoughts about those particular ones?
Um, well, there's 2 in there I could care less about, and that's Destiny 2 and Fortnite. I could care less
Yeah.
about those
Well, we
games.
won't talk about those ones then.
SIFU. Let's talk about SIFU since we're in the Japanese spirit at the moment. It's a game on my backlog,
Yeah.
and it was one of the. I think it was, if not the first PS5 exclusive after the console launched. So there was a lot of hype around that. Like, oh, here's the PS5's first exclusive. How did you find that? Because I know it's a hard game. I've heard.
It's really hard as nails. I
Yeah.
think I'm gonna have to drop the difficulty down on it
Mm.
in order to be able to get through the first level. Because just the way the combat system, like you've got the combat systems there, in terms of the best way I could describe it is a similar experience to Wu-Tang Taste of Pain style on the PS1. It's going back to the last time I played anything quite like this.
Mm.
Where it is all hand-to-hand combat for the most part. There's some other, objects and stuff that you can pick up, but it's just you really do need to be able to pick up very, very precise blocks, and we're talking really finite, very quick reactions on your controller to
Yeah.
avoid your health going down, and
Because
you get this life system like loads of lives. I can't remember what it's represented by, but
yeah.
you have a finite amount of them until you get a game over type of situation.
It
Um,
reminds me of a game, and I think it's similar, but I can't confirm because I haven't played Sifu, and that is Trek
mm,
to Yomi. Did you ever play that?
no.
It's like a same kind of style of game, Japanese samurais. It's got a black and white aesthetic to it as well, and it's
Mm,
side scroll. I believe it's side scrolling, and it's very precision based sword combat. So you know, certain enemies, you know which ones you can block, and the heavier ones, you've got to do a dash back before you come back and strike with your sword. So it's very timed. And then you've got the parry system as well, which certain enemies you can only attack after a successful parry.
Mm.
It kind of gives me the impression it's like that.
Yeah, it is. I think it's just one of those types of games that plays incredibly well. I think there's some really nice cutscenes in there. The story is kind of a revenge storyline, right?
Mm.
Um, and there's an upgrade system in there. Just I think if I can knock that difficulty down, because I just want to be able to play through and see what happens with it.
Hmm.
I think for those that know how to play those games really well, will probably appreciate that difficulty spike. The fact that even at normal, you're going to get a real kind of tough situation, multiple attempts just to try and get through. Um, the first level, and you'll get to an end of a level. Might maybe on a whim, like with literally the single final life left, and hope that you can make it, type of thing.
The hilarious thing for me is I actually waited till this game came out on Xbox and I bought it there,
Oh, did you?
which is very ironic considering one of our main stories later on. But yeah.
Mm. So yeah, I've kind of stepped away from it, but I did enjoy what I played of it. Uh, but I think the ones I really want to kind of talk about on this list is basically Blueprints is something I have to talk about. It's one of the highest rated games this year. Out of nowhere, I think it's from or at least the publishers, the Raw Fury team, and if you like Mist and Riven, but you
Mm.
like this whole progressive, but it's a roguelike, but like Mist and Riven type aspect to it. So
Mm.
you're meant to fail, 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 fail through these different days. So for each, you get a certain amount of steps. You're only allowed to take a certain amount of steps when you explore this house, and you basically have been. It's basically your father has inherited this house to you, but you have to get to the antechamber, and to prove basically that you deserve the inheritance of the manor, right? There's this whole story that emerges from it, like maybe this estate, this regency of this wealthy family isn't all as it seems, that type of thing. And I still so much of that story that I don't know, like what is the reason, what's actually happened here, um, with that whole storyline, because you're threading and learning different pieces together. But what I like about it is with that roguelike element thrown into the mix, you're finding these secret things every time. You're picking up these like objects that you're like make completely no sense, but then you're drafting rooms, and this is a unique mechanic. So each run through, you will get certain rooms that you draft to build your house essentially, and you walk through them and investigate them. There's clues in there, or there might be a safe in there at one point, and there's maybe about an hour, 2 hours later, when you've done a run through, you might actually find a clue in there
Mm.
that gives you the code to the safe.
Okay.
I'll give you an example. One of the things that I saw was so there's like an apple grove garden, and you explore it on the outskirts of the house, and there's like a 4-digit pin code on it, and you're like, how the hell am I gonna be able to open this type of thing?
Mm-hmm.
And I drafted a room that ended up being like a, what do you call it, a red. When people do the whole cure their photos and stuff. One of
Yeah.
those types of room was like a red room or whatever they call it.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think of the actual
Like
thing.
yeah.
So I was like, hey, I can see. So you've got all these photos of the family, and I'm like, I swear down, I can see something. There's something here, because there's this tree that's cut down near this orange grove, but in the photo the tree's there, and there's a heart, and there's something there that I think relates to that garden. that gate that I can't open. I'm like, I just can't see it. I can't figure this out. There's something there, but I can't read it because it's just not in focus enough. Well, lo and behold, you'll do another few runs and you might find a magnifying glass on a run. But then your magnifying glass that you pick up for that run, you have to draft again that right room in order to be able to go into that room and inspect that photo with the magnifying glass.
Mm.
And lo and behold, there was, a code from that photo, which enabled me to unlock that piece of the house.
Mm.
And similarly, something happens with when you find the garage as well, but I won't spoil it. There's so many things like that, loads of different things, that every time I sit down and play it for an hour or two, I'm discovering new stuff all the time, learning new things about the plot. It's incredibly addictive to go and sit through 5-6 hours, and because of the roguelike element of it, you have to actually take some notes down. You
Mm.
actually have to write some notes down to remember bits and clue pieces and go and put two and two together. I've not played anything just quite like it, to be honest with you. That mixing the traditional puzzler or the walk around puzzle type game with this element of chance in it just makes it like nothing I've played before, and I will be amazed if it doesn't get in that Balatro category this year, and potentially be up there for winning multiple awards at the shows this year.
I would say it might get indie game of the year, but then again, we got Expedition 33, which I think could easily be a clear winner.
It could be, yeah. It could be.
Interesting.
So,
I still have to
highly
play it.
recommended.
Everyone's
Yeah.
talking about it. It's on PSN Premium, and I've got it downloaded.
Mm,
Just haven't had the time. Oh man, these big games are really killing me.
I know. Yeah. So that was worth checking out. Sociable Soccer 25. I said we'll find you a football game you may be able to actually
Is this it?
enjoy and play. I think it is.
What was that other game? Is it Rebound or Rematch or something?
Rematch, which is really interesting because
It's
that
out
game
now,
looks
isn't it?
jank. I don't think so.
I think I saw it on the store the other night.
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
thought it was.
Is that the one with like the crosshair that you can control?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I thought it was out in June, but
Is it called
that's
Rematch?
interesting. Yeah, I think it's called Rematch.
Let me see if I can find it.
I think it might be called Rematch. But yeah, Sociable Soccer 25 is made by a guy called John Hare, who was responsible back in the Atari ST and Amiga days for making the irrepressible, world famous, world renowned Sensible Soccer. So he knows how to make a damn good football game. So he's taken elements of humor in this, along with basically rewriting the playbook for football games in the modern age. So he said through this whole Ultimate Team open card pack systems that you have to pay for it, you win a certain number of matches, you'll get awarded some cards to boost your main team for the career.
Mm.
And in the actual career mode, there is no leagues. It's like this. Well, there is divisions, but you rather than going on a win, loss, draw point system, there's this rank system that you stay in that division until you've hit a level of points, a
Mm-hmm.
level of overall points, and then you'll progress. And then you
Okay.
can play all of the traditional cups. There's tons of them, and they've got loads of achievements ranked to it. The only thing about this game is there's no online multiplayer. And I just think it's a missed opportunity because we need an arcade style game, football game,
Yeah, I'll take
which,
it.
and then when you look at something like Rematch, you're like, this thing has been all over the place. Like, I keep seeing it all the time. Even
Mm-hmm.
iShow Speed was streaming this game,
Oh yeah.
and it's like that's what you kind of need to do if you want to take that game to the next level because it's just stolen all the oxygen out of Sociable Soccer 25. I didn't even know it was released. It was just by chance I saw it in the store.
I remember.
So
Yeah,
it's a
you're
really good
pretty good on
game,
it.
but
I
yeah,
mean, well, I've just looked up Rematch. You're absolutely right. It's not out yet. It just says summer 2025. However,
mm,
it is coming to Game Pass, so there's
yes,
that. And
Yeah, yeah.
also on the PlayStation Store, it's got pre-order for $29.99. So it's probably about a
Mm,
£25 game where you are.
yeah.
Yep.
No, I don't know if I want to
I'll let
pay for
you
that.
I'll let you give me the lowdown review on that, and if it's worth it, then I'll
Oh
jump
no,
in.
I might have to go on Game Pass to play that. I ain't paying 30 quid for
Ah.
that. I could tell I ain't gonna. I could tell the game ain't gonna cut the mustard for me football wise.
What do you mean go on Game Pass for that? I thought you had Game Pass.
I don't have Game Pass. Well, I do. I have Core. I have Game Pass Core, which is just as good as saying you don't have Game Pass at this point. We'll park it. Park it. We'll get back to that. I was going to finish off all of the other games that I played. Rock and Roll Racing, the old classic, uh, made by Blizzard. I didn't realize there was all this licensed chiptune music in it. I was
Oh
really
yeah.
surprised. Yeah, it's like all these. It's like AC/DC and all that lot, but it's all in chiptune. It was kind of fun for half an hour, but there's nothing in that game that convinces you to want to kind of play it unless you love the original, like you grew up with the original. Played this weird game called Tamashii. I don't really have too much to say about it at this point, other than the fact that it looked like an alien was sucking his own willy at one point in it.
Well, I guess that's what Tamashii
Sucking
means
his own
then.
dick. So
God.
I don't know. It's just like a weird oddity game. I think it's like one of the Twisted Mind games. Um, I also bought All in a Biz Judge the Fake, which
Hmm.
I thought, oh, we're going to get a Balatro style game here. It's not. It's like an anime style poker game with a storyline that you basically this district that you live in. The concept behind it is everyone's got a gambling problem,
Mm.
and basically the whole place is hooked to gambling, and it's about trying to take out these witches
Hmm.
that are good at gambling. Here's the kicker with this game, and many people have kind of said this in the reviews as well. They're expecting a Blacktro style experience. This is some weird stuff in this game. Whoever's made this game has got a very big penchant for different fetishes. Because the first when you beat the first boss in this game, they get punished and get killed by gluttony because it was a character that liked sugar and all that lot. But the cutscenes are proper like, a bit. And then the second boss I'm on right now, she likes to play this whole mummy type thing. Like she likes
Mm.
to pretend that she's a mum to the people that aren't her kids. God knows what the other bloody characters are going to be like, but it seems like whoever's made this has got like, all these different kinks that he's bringing out into this game. So I don't know where it's going to go, mate. I don't know where it's going to go.
Get your kink
Um,
on.
but yeah, the power ups, the upgrade systems on it's very, very half baked, to be honest. And you're meant to explore this whole district, and it's all just 2D flat screen, basically dialogue, loads of dialogue on that. Would I recommend anyone buy it? No. Played some Infinity Nikki, so played a few missions on that. There's so much I've missed on this game now because you have to keep up with it live to be able to get everything. It was fun, but you saw when I was streaming it because you were playing Ghost of Tsushima, just the sheer amount of bloody pointless dialogue that has got nothing to grab you with storyline, and they're just talking. They're both characters just talking utter bollocks. So I have to skip through all of the dialogue to play it, but I play it mainly for just all of the dress up style bits to it. But um, I'll keep going into that game because I do enjoy it for like a relaxation type thing. And then I guess lastly, Ultros, which I've been on my list for absolutely ages. It's a Metroidvania, but it's like a psychedelic Metroidvania. Um, I've liked what I've played of it so far. I just really, really like the art style. Or that was the main reason why I bought it was the art style. It doesn't do anything that I would say that what I've seen so far that is unique to other Metroidvanias, but there's something about the aesthetics of that game
Mm.
that is just really, I don't know, it gravitates you to want to continue playing it. So
It does look good. I bought it.
you did, yeah,
Yeah, it was
yeah.
like 9.99. So
That'll be on the list to attack at some point.
or
Before we
never.
get on to Oblivion, our featured game, I've I've got to talk very briefly about. I am so excited now for Mario Kart World because I saw Digital Foundry creaming over how good this game was performing on the Switch 2, and if they're saying it's really good, I'm very excited because they'll be the first to criticize it.
Hmm.
You know, I am super excited to see what that's going to be like. Now see more of it.
I'm excited to see what they do with the online. Because
Mm,
don't get me wrong, you could play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe online, but it was really just races.
yeah.
But now that you've got a proper party chat system on the Switch too, and I imagine you hop in a party and just roam the free world collecting coins. Like that'd be a pretty nice experience.
Yeah, yeah. And the battle modes as well that's in there,
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
elimination mode would be nice. But they've been saying that the game's technical advancements, like the 1440p resolution in dock mode, smooth 60 FPS gameplay, um, just saying it's completely on point. I think Linneman was saying just the detail was insane.
Mm,
Like this is pure, like this is a console seller game, and
yeah.
for that to come from John is like I'm very excited for its release now, and whether we both get it on time on when it's meant to launch is going to be the question of the day, I think.
Well, yeah, I think because I mean, tell me about your experience because people's experiences have been all over the place with this. If you're
Mm,
outside the US, you got the pre-order open up when they said they would do it,
yeah.
and to me, it looked like you were pretty okay with it. You just pre-ordered one and you got it. Is
Well,
that
it
the
was
case
weird
or?
because the pre-orders in the UK with the retailers opened up before Nintendo did their official thing. The game was
Mm,
opening up the pre-orders, so I've got a horrible feeling.
so they're
Have
racking
they
up
got the
orders.
stock? Have they
Yeah.
got the allocated stock? That's good. And gamers a track record of messing this stuff up. So I took
I,
a bit of a risk, but I never had
yeah.
any pains ordering it at all. I never had any timeouts. It was
Well,
just
let's.
pretty much put it in the basket, buy.
I think you might have got lucky because if Nintendo announces that the pre-orders are opening a week from now, no one's checking for pre-orders at game, are they? So you
Mm.
may have been one of the lucky ones with that. But here's the question: did they charge a card, and did you get a confirmation email?
Yes.
They charged a card.
Yep. I charged the card
Ah,
straight away.
yeah, I got the same. So ours opened up yesterday actually, but I waited for the midnight because Pacific time where I am, it worked
Mm.
out to 9 p.m., which was beautiful. So
Yeah.
9 p.m., I opened up my Best Buy. I was like, okay, that's probably the most reputable retailer. I opened it up on both screens. One was the home screen where the thing was appearing. One was the actual product screen. I'm refreshing them, and 9 o'clock rolls around, and the button still says coming soon, and the yellow,
Mm.
add to cart button wasn't showing up. So 15 minutes of this, I'm like, okay, this is worrying me. Have they
Mm.
sold out, and that's why the button somehow the bots have got them or whatever? So I said, let me go on to. I don't really like any of the others. Like Walmart, I don't trust. They do a
Mm.
bit of what game does as well. Target, I was like, oh, they're not exactly an electronics store. They do a bit of everything. I don't know if I want to trust them. GameStop didn't even bother opening pre-orders till the next morning.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so, but then I had all four of them on screen at once,
Mm.
refreshing, and Target was the first one where the pre-order button popped up. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, here we go. Clicked it, got the bundle, add to cart. Thought, great. Screw it, Pro Controller's right there. Let me add that to cart as well.
Yeah.
Get to the checkout. Your cart's empty. What? Hold on a second. Let me click on
Mm.
the cart. Click on the cart. 2 items in there. What? Checkout. Your cart's
Yeah.
empty. Anyway, after 5 minutes of that, managed to get to the payment screen. I got the Apple Pay option, didn't I?
Right.
Push that. Did my Face ID from my phone. Payment declined. I'm like, no, 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 no. It's not my bank. I'm logging into my bank. No, there's plenty of money on the card.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go back over there. Now I'm going to my cart. I'm getting pop-up messages saying something went wrong. Something went wrong. I'm like, okay, this has got to be demand.
Mm.
Maybe allocation isn't keeping up with how many are being sold. There's got to be some sort of yeah. So kept trying it, kept trying it, and kept trying it, and randomly, thank you for your order. I was like, no.
Yeah.
Check the email, got the email, check the account, authorizations there, showing up now. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh crap, I got one. But the worrying thing is when I go into the app, it says
Mm.
between June 5th and June 11th, meaning they may have done what game is doing with you. They've taken more orders than they get an allocation for. In fact, I'm going to do it live on air. Let me log into my Target app and see if that's changed. So
Yeah.
I'd be very, very curious to see.
Whilst you do that, there's been a finding on visual. I think it was the VRR that
Yeah.
was basically mentioned it was going to be in docked mode. Well, the stuff's been removed. The references
Mm.
of VRR being available uh, in dock mode have been removed off of different regions of the Nintendo store, but still on the UK one, which is a
Different
little bit odd.
regions. Why is that a
Yeah,
regional thing?
I don't know, but they
It's a
kept it on
TV
the.
thing. Huh.
Well, I know there's meant to be some issues with like display ports or that can cause problems with
As
the
long as you've
variable
got,
refresh rates.
well, because if you're doing 120 hertz, 120 FPS, then you need an HDMI 2.1 port, cable, and TV. So they've
Mm,
already got the port there. Unless they're doing what PS5's doing and they've got an HDMI port, but they're only utilizing 32 gigs of the 40 gig bandwidth to save money.
mm,
So I think there's a cheaper controller chip that people can buy, and PlayStation have done exactly that as well.
yeah, I don't
Weird.
know. Hopefully they address it, but otherwise you might have to only get that feature in the handheld mode. But we'll see.
I mean,
What's your pre-order doing?
what Nintendo game would benefit from VR? I'm just trying to think. I
Well, it
don't.
looks like Donkey Kong Bonanza might at the moment because there was some signs of some frame rate slowdown in, well, oddly, more in the game's map and menu system than the actual game.
Mm,
But
yeah, map looked a bit rough. Pre-order says
mm,
June 10.
okay,
Well, on one screen it says 5th to the 10th. When I click on the item, it says 10th. I think what they're doing is managing expectations by putting the furthest possible date to like reduce number of calls in or something.
yeah,
But yeah, it's noted down 9:15, so 15 minutes after pre-orders open, I managed to get one. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. Am I feeling lucky? Possibly. I really don't
yeah,
know. I mean, I've never pre-ordered from Target before, so I have no idea how this is going to go.
yeah, yeah.
And then I also looked as well, like, why does Amazon not do this?
Mm,
You'd think the biggest retailer in the world would have a really good pre-ordering system. Because I know people who try to use Best Buy and Walmart, and I saw this myself. You get to the product page and you click a button that says wait in line. And then
mm.
this screen that pops up never moves. And just for, shits and giggles, I did it with Best Buy and I left it open for half an hour and the screen never changed. So
Oh, right.
I don't know. Did it even work?
Interesting. I mean, Amazon logistically have got like the best layouts to
I mean,
absolutely nail that.
the site's amazing as well. I'm sure if anyone can get a pre-ordering system that doesn't bog down the website, it's Amazon.
Yeah.
Set the precedent and then everyone else will follow. But I heard somewhere that Nintendo and Amazon don't exactly see eye to eye, hence why they never
Mm,
included them.
okay.
So let me ask you, any
What's that?
accessories or you went just for the console?
I just went for the bundle.
Mm-hmm.
With Mario Kart, no other games. I'm probably not regretting that decision actually because of what I've seen on the latest of the Donkey Kong Bonanza. It seems to be a bit of a, from what I've been hearing, I think people are either going to like it or not like it. I mean, it looked impressive, like in terms of technicals of what a Switch 2 can do. It looks impressive, but whether that translates into being a fun game, and the fact that after 20 minutes of play, you have some people saying not quite sure I had that much fun playing it, then
Mm.
you know,
Yeah.
not sure what to expect from it. And I had that to me looked on the surface from the trailers and stuff that it could have been a very high scoring one. So
It looked
maybe
like
it's just a
they tried to push Donkey Kong to the forefront in the same fashion they would have done a Mario. This looks like the same engine, to be honest, a Mario Odyssey Donkey Kong,
yeah.
which gives it that sort of semi-realistic, more serious tone.
Mm.
And then when you put Donkey Kong in an open world in a 3D environment, like how is that? This is the first time. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is the first time they're doing that, isn't it?
I believe so. I can't remember
Tropical
what.
Freeze was a 2D side scroller. I think this is
Yeah,
the
I'm trying
first
to
time.
remember the Donkey Kong 64 game that came out. Whether that was there was a
Oh, I
Donkey
don't
Kong
remember that
game on
one.
the N64, but I can't remember exactly.
So whenever you have a game that transitions from sort of 2D to 3D, there's always going to be that, or how do we translate this?
Mm.
You know, because in 2D, there's only so much you can do. You know, you smash, you collect, and that's about it. You jump. But in
Yeah,
3D, you've got so many more options now, and I think that's probably why they resorted to the whole, world destruction element of it.
yeah. I think it
I
was Donkey Kong 64 was like open world.
3D.
Yeah.
I I think for Donkey Kong, because Donkey Kong only comes out a month after the Switch 2 launches. That
Mm.
one I'm probably going to wait for the reviews because I'm,
Yeah.
I'm I'm like you, I'm 50-50 on it. But one that is going to be a day one purchase for me is Metroid Prime 4.
Mm.
But I'm going to go fully digital on the Switch 2 like I've done with every other console. Just because it's more convenient, but even if you are a game collector, well, the games are not even on the cartridges anymore.
No,
They're
it's
all
very
game
true.
keys.
Yeah.
In fact, I think there's only one game that's on the cartridge, and that's Cyberpunk. They made a point of putting it out there today that they managed to
What's it
get the
say?
whole game,
Yeah.
yeah, on a 64 gig cart. So,
Interesting.
yeah,
Yeah, I guess that's the advantage of that coming out a little bit
I
afterwards.
think I think the whole cartridge thing really was put in there just for back compat purposes. You
Mm.
know, I can't
Yeah.
think of any other reason for it. Because you think about it, right? If the Switch is an on-the-go system, I mean, some people are going to play it at home, some people are going to play it on the go. It works for a multitude of scenarios. But if you are on the go, if I put myself in a position where I'm about to hop on a plane
Mm.
and I happen to find an electronics store at the airport and, oh, there's a game here, it would really suck having to put that in your cartridge and it's like, all right, cannot connect to the internet or the internet's too slow at the airport. That's a real slap in the face.
Yeah, yeah. Don't
I
know.
don't know.
I think that's the last. I said the Switch 2 would be the golden age for physical game collection. I got that wrong.
That was bold.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I
No,
thought it was the last throng, but
they could have really kept physical. Because look, let's be honest. This is Nintendo's model now, a hybrid system. They're never going to do a DS or a
mm,
GameCube dedicated system again. It's going to be this. We know
yeah,
Switch 3 is going to be next, and it will just do more of what this one does with some weird peripherals in between.
mm,
So they could have kept the cartridge, and they could have kept charging the developers licensing fee to use their technology and make some money that way too. And they would have had a perfectly good business justification for doing so because you're on the go, you want to buy a game, pop it in, and it works.
yeah,
But then again, people share cartridges, people pirate stuff, so they want to make sure they maximize every single sale. We
yeah,
are moving into all digital. It really makes me wonder what the next generation. I think PlayStation's probably got the right model. Sell a
mm,
digital only console, and if you want the disc drive, you pay an extra whatever for it.
yeah,
Probably the way to go. And I think Xbox will do something similar next round as well.
yeah. That kind of makes sense now. Even I'm edging towards getting rid of my discs.
Yeah,
I built the Master Collection. I just don't have fucking space to put it anywhere.
yeah,
Nowhere to
they
put
take
it.
up. I had a stack as tall as me.
Yeah.
You know, it's just they do take up a lot of
I'm not
space.
Pete Dorr, the collector who's got a 4-bedroom house or whatever that's just filled up with game cases everywhere.
Well, a lot of them just use their basement and put shelving.
Uh,
Those are pretty cool.
Uh,
No, I did get I did pre-order a Switch 2 Pro controller as well.
mm,
I think you sent me it. The reviews
yeah,
are like really solid. Apparently, it's one of the best controllers they've ever used. I'm hearing, and I'm like, really? Switch 2?
yeah.
So we'll see.
I'm really keen to try that out because the way they talk about the sticks, the
Yeah.
fact that I think one upon when it was described, it feels like the sticks are in zero gravity of type. It's like
Well, I don't even know what that means.
what? No, true, but I think it's gonna feel very, very different. Yeah,
Well,
like almost.
let me ask you this: if you were in a research and development team right now, and they said to you, "What's one thing we can do to the analog sticks of today?" I mean, I can't think of any improvements, to be honest with
Yeah,
you. I mean, apart from Hall effect, just for durability's sake. But
yeah,
what else? I mean, one thing I did hear, which I suppose it could be a benefit, is that they're quiet, and
mm,
that's when you hit your analog stick towards the outer rim, it makes that click or like clacky sound when it hits the plastic. So apparently, this doesn't do that anymore.
right.
I don't know who was asking for this, but
No,
there's that. If you sleep with a baby next to you when you game, then that's good.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know, but what I will say is, I during the first Switch, I was really against the Pro controller because it was
mm,
like you're calling it a Pro controller and it doesn't have half the features that other controllers, real controllers, have, but you're
yeah, yeah.
charging $80 for it. So I was really against it, and then it got to a point where I'm like, oh, Tetris 99, I want to play that on a real pad. So I sucked it up. I bought one for the first
Mm.
Switch. I don't know, man. When you're sitting down at home, you have to use a dedicated controller. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Using the Joy-Con on your lap, or even with the little grippy thing, isn't the same.
Are you gonna try when you get Metroid? Are you gonna try the mouse
I'll try it.
setup
Yeah,
thing for it?
I'll try it. I actually want to try it like a PC setup, which I think you can do. So I'm right-handed, so my right hand will have the mouse, and my
Mm,
left hand I'll just hold the Joy-Con with the analog stick facing upwards. And I think that's how I can kind of navigate how
mm.
it'll work. Where's my hand? There you go. So I don't know. I'll give it a go. I'm not sure if that's going to be my permanent way of playing, but
No,
all I know is there's going to be a Mario Paint. Has to be.
yeah. you-
Has to be.
That's the first one since the Super Nintendo, right?
Has to be.
Yeah,
They'll tie it into Switch Online, where they can store your
probably.
paintings to the cloud and share with your
Yeah, yeah.
friends. The most basic of features that you get with iCloud.
Well, if you want to do that, just use Photoshop for goodness sake.
Or
But
just
anyway,
send a text message with a picture. You could do that too.
yeah, we'll just get AI generated.
They always find a really niche way of like creating hardware for a problem that doesn't exist. It's
Yeah.
like, we know you've been wanting to share your own pictures for years, and we think we've figured out the best way of doing it. No, I drew it on a piece
Well,
of
they've got,
paper, took a picture with my phone, and sent it to someone. The problem was already solved.
well, they've got that top USB-C port if they did want to bring the printer back.
Oh, God. The printer.
They could just do a collab with Kodak, like the Instax cameras or something.
You know what I just remembered? The freaking Game Boy camera. Do you remember that?
Mm, yeah, yeah.
They've had some weird peripherals, man. They
I think
really
it was the
did.
GameCube that had the microphone. The
GameCube had a
GameCube
mic?
had the mic. So, yeah, so you could buy this microphone.
Where did
It's
it
a
plug
Nintendo
into?
one, not a third person. I'm not sure. From memory, I think
What?
there was. I swear it was on the GameCube. And you had this microphone game, and you talk to a fish. I
Hold on,
swear,
I've got to look this up.
speak to a fish.
Nintendo GameCube microphone for Mario Party 6 or 7. What? But
I think
where
it
does
was the
it
game.
plug?
Or it might have been the Dreamcast for the
Oh, that's interesting. You know where it plugs into?
where the
It
controller.
plugs into the memory card slot.
Oh right, okay.
The wire goes into like a memory card and it plugs in that way up. Because I was like, where the hell would you plug it into? That console had no ports.
Oh,
Oh, there you go.
interesting.
Huh. That's interesting, that. But yeah, I see there is a microphone there.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah.
that's got to be rare as hell.
Oh, and they even
It's gotta
sold
be
a
so
they
rare.
even sold a little holder separately where you can mount the microphone on your GameCube controller facing you. Amazing.
It's sold out on CEX, but they were selling it at a fiver, but I just can't imagine many of them still being around.
Hang on, I'm looking on eBay right now. No, they're out there. $14.
Oh, they're
Uh,
not as collectible as I thought they might be.
no, another one, 14, another one, 25, 13.97, 11.99. No, they're not
No.
collectors. They're out there. How the hell have I 5.99? How have I never heard about this?
Hmm.
Wow. Well, there you go. I guess there's a
I think it must have been the Dreamcast one then. You talked to a fish.
Dreamcast mic.
There was something with a microphone and a fish. I remember it. It's in the highlight clips.
Oh
Microphone
God,
fish.
the Dreamcast one. It's a
Yeah.
microphone attached to the end of the memory card that went in your controller.
All right.
That's jank. Now I'm looking at
Oh,
this.
there
This
it
is
is. Look up the strange
120.
games. It was called Caution Seaman.
You what?
Yeah, it's a game. Look up Google Images for Caution Seaman.
Oh, I've seen this before.
Yeah. It was you plugged the microphone in, or you did some. Yeah, was it the microphone? Yeah, it was the microphone that you played the game with. That's it's so weird.
Angry Video Game Nerd's got a video on that, so
Let me see.
I guess I'll check that one out later.
Yeah.
But yeah, that microphone's going for 120. That's got to be it.
That one's definitely got the notoriety then.
Let's have a look at the on eBay. There's some third-party ones for 40, 35. Yeah, 30. It's out there.
Yeah. Interesting.
Oh, interesting. So it comes in two parts. You've got the memory card part, and then the microphone actually is detachable. You can plug a regular microphone in with a 3.5mm jack.
Oh.
So in theory, you could just get the little adapter part and put your own microphone in there.
Oh, okay. That's not as bad then. Oh,
I miss
bit
that
of
era of
throwback
gaming.
there.
I
Yeah.
miss that era. I remember I had a friend, he bought a Dreamcast, right, sort of a year after it launched, and he bought the mouse, keyboard, a copy of Quake 3 Arena,
Yeah.
and it was like a 50-foot, 50-meter telephone cable that you ran downstairs, plugged it into his phone, and I'm just like, holy crap, you're sitting down on your bed playing online Quake 3. That was like mind-blowing back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, those were the days. Should we talk
Yeah.
about Oblivion?
Let's do it.
So
Microsoft's worst kept secret.
that's kept secret. Yeah, I mean, it's still. We got a bit of surprise when we were kind of thinking that are they really going to release this and not build up the hype anymore, and then all of a sudden, bang!
See, I was
they dropped it
surprised that
straight
they
away.
actually put out the announcement finally.
Yeah.
It's like a year we've been waiting for this.
It was very much welcomed, and it's our reaction to that is officially our most performed video on TikTok at the moment, which is interesting.
There you go. TikTok.
So I'm interested to kind of gain your thoughts on this, because on the surface, this isn't a game or a genre of a game that you would usually touch. And from memory, I believe that you didn't play it when it was on the 360.
So, yeah, the genre or the style of game, like this sort of action RPG, is my cup of tea, but I was never big on fantasy, so I never played an Elder Scrolls game before.
Yeah.
But obviously, when Fallout 3 came, which is practically a reskin of this, I was all in. So I knew at some point I would have to play the Elder Scrolls games if I like Fallout. Never got around to it. I've had Skyrim installed for damn near 5 years now. And then I bought the anniversary edition with the better graphics. Oblivion was also on my list at some point as well. So when I got wind that this was coming out, I was like, okay, I've got to do it. So let's talk about this. I think at this point, everyone knows what Oblivion is, or should know what Oblivion is, but just, sort of a couple of highlights. It's interesting how they've remade this, or remastered it, I should say, because they're still using the creation engine, but they're using Unreal Engine 5 on top of that, just for the visual elements.
Oh, really?
And
Oh, okay.
yeah, that's what they mentioned in the unveiling. And they said they did it to keep that pure Oblivion essence.
Mm.
Now, I think essence is a keyword for Bethesda jank,
Yeah.
because it still shows. Armic, what do you mean? Well, in 3 hours, I've played about 5 hours in total, not as much as I would have liked to, but life, that happens. Within the first 3 hours, I already had a fatal crash, kicked me back to the PlayStation home screen and filed a bug report, sent a video off and everything. I was like, oh, this is a nice little experience. I was more surprised by the bug report process, to be honest with you. And then that put me off for a little while. I was like, okay, I've got to do all that section again. Right, let me just get into this. I'm going to pull the rubber out, no lube.
Okay.
The combat. I don't love the combat. I really don't. So I've gone for I've got the name of the character I've picked, but he does he comes stand with a bunch of like magic capabilities as well. And I don't know if I'm using the character right. Something tells me I'm not using it right, because I've just found a really good broadsword and I'm using that as my primary. And I'm playing on normal. And the amount of swings you got to like swing at these low-level enemies to kill them, it takes way too long. And then there's this delay. You push the attack button, and then there's like a 3-second gap before the damn sword swings and hits them.
Oh, for a hard attack, yeah.
No, for a regular attack.
Oh, right.
It's like it doesn't trigger instantly or something. So I don't know. That the combat is really weird for me. The controls are also a bit floaty as well. They do feel a bit sort of 15 years old, which is to be expected, I suppose. I want to reserve judgment for this episode until I get really into it. I'm not sucked in yet. I'm still at that forcing myself to play it phase.
Right.
But yeah, man, I'm finding too many issues, bugs and stuff like that. Like I'm stuck at the moment. Actually, I was playing probably an hour before we recorded this.
Yeah.
And the mission is, oh yeah, let's kill all these enemies in the courtyard of a castle or something, right?
Oh, right, yeah.
And killed all the enemies in the courtyard.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I don't know where's
So he
going
keep
next.
asking you to storm the
Yeah,
courtyard.
yeah. I'm literally there. So
that is incredibly confusing. You open up those double doors.
the waypoint points at him all the time.
Yeah.
I've opened up the double
yeah.
doors. I've gone inside the building. I've opened up every room, killed everyone, and he's still telling me the same thing.
I had that exact problem.
Yeah.
And I was frustrated, and I was like, okay. He's pointing towards these doors. When he says storm the courtyard, I thought all of the people that you were with leading up to that were going to go and do the same thing. And they don't. They don't move. They just stay there and like, well, you go do it by yourself.
Yeah, that was confusing
don't
too.
even
One
say
guy
to
followed
do
me
that.
at one point.
Oh, did he?
One guy came in and he got killed. I'm like, hold on a second, something's not adding up here. But my waypoint doesn't change direction. So
Yeah.
I go in the building. Like I said, I've killed everyone, checked every room. Like maybe I've got to get a key or something. I can't figure it out. So that's annoying.
So basically inside those rooms, you will see a guy in some posh garb, and he's dead, laying on the floor. He's holding a ring. He's got a ring that you need to loot and then give it to the guy, the main.
Why does it not say this anywhere?
I don't know. I don't know.
Tell me you want a ring and I'll look for a ring. You tell me storm the castle or whatever, I'm thinking to kill everyone.
It's weird because if you pick the ring up, it activates a part of the quest, like the next part of the quest. And I went back, or if you basically do the dialogue with the guy to say that the guy's dead, I don't know, it's weird. It's like, it didn't. There is certainly those elements to it, but some of the glitches are just funny.
Oh, I'll tell you another one.
It's hilarious.
Same mission. Right before I got to that courtyard part, I don't know, I had maybe 5, 6 of these knights or whatever soldiers following me. And we were in this corridor, like a stone corridor, like the walls were made out of stone. The enemies outside of that corridor, on the other side of the wall, somehow detected that we were in this corridor and started attacking us through the wall. Then, a fireball from one of these little grunts hit one of my soldiers, Now this guy's swinging his sword at the wall.
Right.
So they're fighting each other through the wall, but they're not actually making contact. Only one fireball made contact. So now they're all pointing at this bloody corner of the wall. Like, it's weird, man. Like,
Yeah.
I love the visuals. I love the
Yeah.
the visuals are gorgeous. It's Unreal Engine 5. You cannot go wrong. And I've
Mm.
watched the Digital Foundry video, the side by sides. I'm like, wow, it's a night and day difference.
Yeah.
But it does have that feel of an old game.
Mm.
And it's funny because I think 15 years ago, what games were like, and even 15 years ago, games didn't feel like this. There's something that Bethesda adds into their games that's just this jank sauce.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is a sick joke or it was just too hard to remake entirely,
Yeah.
but I can't help but feel this was the Unreal Engine 5 test that they're doing for Elder Scrolls 6. I hope to God they're using Unreal Engine 5 in its entirety.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, pushing triangle to jump is a piss take. It's only Bethesda that does that. Every game you push X or A to jump. No,
Yeah.
Bethesda uses triangle. Fallout's the same as well.
No option to remap the controls, I imagine.
Probably, but then that
Yeah.
menu is so convoluted. There's menus within menus.
I know,
oh,
yeah.
God. It's a learning curve. And
There's so much to learn in that game. But you look at that on the surface, though, it shows you just how threadbare Avowed was.
Yes.
Because Skyrim, Oblivion, there's so much stuff to do. It's
Yeah.
crazy. What I really love about the game is just the exploration element of it. When you do want to go off the beaten track, this was the last time I played this, I just explored on the 360. This time I actually followed the storyline and managed to close my first Oblivion gate,
Yeah.
which I never did the first time round. But then I was like, okay, I've closed that Oblivion gate. You know what? I'm just going to go and have a little explore around, see if there's some places I can raid through, like some of the towers or whatever, and get some better loot. There's still some magic with that I really love. That it's there, and I don't know whether Skyrim has the same feel because I've never played Skyrim like yourself.
Mm.
But there's a certain magic with it that I've not seen with other RPG games.
Yeah.
That somehow they managed to do it.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I haven't found that magic yet. I haven't gone off the beaten path and explored or anything like that yet. I think mentally my headspace is still in Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
So it was kind of, I played Oblivion just to because of the hype and obviously recording the podcast and everything. So I'm not mentally there yet. I think once I'm done with Tsushima and I can focus on this full time, it might click. I think it will click. But it's very hard switching between the two because Ghost just feels like a modern game. Everything makes sense. Everything's just right with it. It plays beautifully, and it's just like I can't fault the game. But then you go back to this, and it's like, oh God, we've gone back in time. I just wish those controls were a bit tighter. Performance is another thing that's weird as well. There are some areas where, even on a PS5 Pro, you enter a new room or something, and the stuttering is crazy.
Are you getting stuttering problems? I've not experienced that at all.
Oh, I got major stuttering problems on the PS5 Pro.
I wonder if that's PS5 Pro.
No, because on Digital Foundry put up the comparison video just today actually, and they compared, and they are picking it up as well.
Right.
It's actually identical to the original version on the 360.
Right.
So that it's like they're definitely using the same engine as before. Because they're able to replicate the old version with the new version. It's exactly the same places. It's weird they wouldn't clean that up though. It is weird. There's definitely some weirdnesses in there. There's also the infinite loot glitch that apparently still exists today, and I tried it and managed to get it working.
Is this the inventory to get items in your inventory?
Yeah, like you literally you find an empty box or a chest or something in the world, which there are plenty of, and let's say you've got like 100 arrows in your inventory. You hold down your R1 or RB button and press X to continue the transfer, and it will transfer. It will disappear from your inventory, but it won't show up in the chest. So the next item you transfer without holding the R1 assumes the place of the item that you put in there already, but in the quantity that you transferred it in.
Right.
So I transferred like 120 arrows, and then afterwards I said, right, well, what's a good item to duplicate? And I went through my inventory. I found something that had the most value. I think it was like 98 coin, but it also had a weight of 0.1. I was like, right, even if I don't use this, I can sell them. And it was like some potion or whatever, and I just racked up 100 and something of those potions. So I've got a little bit of change to make when I go to
Oh, nice.
to the tradesman next time. But yeah, that still exists.
Yeah. I'll have to give that. I have to give that a whirl.
Yeah, before they
So
patch that in.
what I did do with this game is something very unique, and I don't think anyone's thought about it yet because Xbox hasn't bundled Copilot into um into the Xbox yet.
I didn't quite understand this. What have you done exactly?
What I've done is I put Grok into voice mode.
Okay.
So the assistant. So I'm speaking to Grok with my voice, and it's replying back to me in voice. And I've asked the AI to be my game guide whilst I play the game. So the mic port's open. It's listening for me to talk and ask it something, and it will reply back to me, and I'll describe like where I am, or if there's a book, and I want a summary of the all 5 chapters of the bloody book because I can't be bothered to finish reading them. It does all of that stuff, but here's where it gets freaky. I didn't tell you this last night, and it freaked me the hell out. It
Okay.
freaked me the hell out so much so my body temperature dropped. I had to put the heating on afterwards. To get this, 2 hours I'm speaking to Grok, and we're just chatting away, having like it's asking me questions, and I'll ask it questions and stuff. What do you want to do? What do you want to do next? This was all going along fine and swimmingly until the point where Grok asked me a question was what was my preferred playstyle in the game, of which another voice responded. Another voice came through on Grok and responded to the AI's question
What?
through the speaker of my phone.
Oh wow.
It was crazy.
Did you happen to
And
get a recording of it?
no, I didn't get the recording of it, but I've got the highlighted of what it said,
Yeah.
and it basically said, "Oh, I normally do melee, just straightforward, simple as you can get, really. I only started doing a little bit of archery today, actually, which was quite good. I might put a bit more effort into that."
Mm.
And the voice was different,
Oh wow.
and I was just like, "Okay, I'm not quite sure I'm gonna play around with that anymore," which makes me wonder, like, what's being are they training these models when they're not in use, speaking to each other to constantly train themselves up, or what? I don't know.
That
That
is
was
weird, yeah.
weird. And I
So,
can't
but
find anyone else online that's had a similar experience.
you might have to tweet Elon that one, or maybe ask Grok.
Already did.
Who the hell was that chick or whatever?
Eh,
Well,
eh,
here's a good question. So you're asking Grok, how do I do this and how do I do that?
uh-huh.
Does it know where you are in the game as you're moving somehow? Like, can it
So
detect sounds that are happening on screen and say, "Oh, I recognize, like, for example, I don't know, some church bells in the background. You must be in this
no, but
area."
I can tell it where I'm currently at and where I want to get to, and if I'm struggling with navigation even with the map, it will tell me,
Mm,
where to go, even directions down in
interesting.
terms of where to go. I asked it anything. It told me, what is this? What is this item in the potion? What does it do? Because they don't fully explain it.
Did you
Tells you
use it for that mission I'm stuck on, the ring?
the ring,
The one I'm stuck on, the guard gates.
guard gates.
Well, I
Oh,
just
oh, right. We already talked about.
yeah.
Um, I think I no, I don't think I accidentally found out just by chance
Mm,
through clearing the room how to get through that one. But I asked him about like the guy, the main soldier,
hmm
like questions, and also said, "Well, hang on, why is it this guy's kind of he does something after you complete that mission?" And I asked him what it was, and they kind of explained it because there was no explanation in the game as to why they might have done what they did.
Right.
It's really cool for all this stuff that's because what Skyrim doesn't do, not Skyrim, Oblivion, is explain stuff particularly well. So when you pick stuff up, it says on the basis of what like it says life force up something something, and you're like, okay, I'm
Oh
not
yeah.
quite sure exactly what that effect means, or if I put that ring on and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's handy for that stuff. But yeah, I kind of got a little bit put off using the voice mode like that again.
How do
Right.
you feel about the price tag? Was this a deadly price, or would you think it was worth more or less, or?
I thought for me, and because I was so captivated by the original,
Hmm.
I was happy to pay it.
Hmm.
I'm quite looking forward to going back and playing it and getting lost in that world. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, it's it's like- it's the graphics are updated enough. There's enough in there that's updated to actually play that game in a state that it is today that feels
Mm-hmm.
like it's modern enough versus trying to up res on the 360 version. And you can tell it's just too far graphically to
Yeah.
get immersed in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, I would like to see a bit more polishing done to it, especially in the performance arena.
Mm.
There is a PlayStation 5 Pro enhanced tag on the game on my end, but to be honest with you, I can't see where or why. Because if it's stuttering, it just feels like it's just not optimized for it at all.
Mm.
And the interesting, I'm actually surprised they sold this for $50. They could have easily sold this for 70, easily.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's what I
I think
thought it was going to be.
well, I read somewhere they were already up to 4 million sales. So
Really?
they've done it overnight, one
Uh,
day or two
So
days,
in one day they've taken over Assassin's Creed sales and
pretty much. And we haven't even hit the weekend yet. So imagine when we hit the weekend and everyone's finally done with work and they've got some time.
yeah.
Oh, it's ridiculous. And that's with no well, I was going to say with no lead up or promotion, but the leaks served as a promotion anyway. So,
Mm.
but yeah, they we all know that. Well, here's what I heard a good conversation on another podcast. I forgot what podcast it was, but someone said, if this is what we got with the Oblivion remake, I'm
Mm.
even more excited now for the Fallout 3 remake.
Yeah, yeah.
And that got me thinking. I was like, you know what? That couldn't be more true because Fallout 3's combat was a lot more tighter than this. It
Mm.
was a lot because it's a newer game. To see Fallout, and I've said this in other episodes of the podcast, I want to see Fallout in Unreal 5 so bad.
Yeah.
Because that transition from Fallout 2, the isometric point and click, to a full 3D world, I got the same feeling I did when I played Grand Theft Auto 3 for the first time and that world was in
Mm.
3D. Like, I could not believe they did the whole world in 3D.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, that was like such a technical feat. Like, how have they done what they've done every single street? Yeah. So I cannot wait to see Fallout 3 in this. I hope, because the combat, even though it's better than Oblivion from what I've seen so far, this was also Bethesda's first game where they made guns.
Mm.
So all the games they made after Fallout 3, Fallout 4, and even New Vegas to some degree with what Obsidian did, every every talking point was we've made the guns feel better. We've made the guns feel better.
Mm.
So they know the guns weren't the best in the original one. I hope they do gun work on this.
Yeah, yeah.
And if I've already finished a game, I tend to not go back and play the remaster or the remake. It has to be a substantial remake for me to even consider it. But I think Fallout 3, I will go back and play it because it's just one of my favorite games of all time. That story
It's
set in
better than the
DC.
story in 4, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. The
Yeah.
story in 3 is way better. Four's cool. It was fun. But off the back of Fallout 3, It was just like you can't replicate it. 4 didn't have that captivation that 3 did. 3 was
Mm.
set in Washington D.C., so it was all heavily surrounding sort of the American history and Declaration of Independence and all this stuff. There was a lot of
Yeah.
American history tied into it, which made it even more interesting. But yeah, man, there's something about 3 that just it's
Mm.
the one to play. So
Yeah.
I hope Elder Scrolls 6, with it taking its sweet time, they did do an engine reboot and they moved away from creation after what happened with Starfield. And maybe with what Virtuoso did with Oblivion, this is kind of them saying, okay, it works. Let's just do it, guys.
Yeah.
But I don't want them to half-ass it. Don't put one foot in, one foot out. Don't use creation for this and Unreal for that. Do the whole
No.
thing.
Yeah,
I want
exactly.
to, do the whole thing.
Well, I
Unless
think
there's
we've got
some
a few years
financial.
to find out, I think. Easily.
I mean, Elder Scrolls is hot right now. I mean, what's it? It's been 7-8 years since I made the initial announcement that ES6 was being made. If anything, and the iron's hot right now, it makes sense that this year they announced that 6 is, or show us a trailer finally.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to release it this year. Not with Grand Theft Auto 6 around the corner. No way. Unless they're going to shadow drop that as well, which I don't think is the case.
Mm.
But yeah, I think if anything, it could be a 2026 game. Get GTA out the way, give them another year of dev time, polish it. They can't fail like Starfield did. They get this right, they're back.
Yeah, yeah.
They are so back. And I think what's even more interesting, because I don't see this on our show notes anywhere, but I mentioned it earlier that the Ghost of Yote trailer dropped. Interestingly enough, Sony didn't hold a showcase or a state of play or anything. They just shadow dropped the trailer. Little worrying. Have they not got enough games to put together for a show? Furthermore, why wouldn't you save this for the Summer Game Fest or something around that time? Little worrying.
I heard they were working on one, though.
That's
When
what I
that
heard.
is, I don't know.
But, you're not going to put out a dedicated show if you don't have other games to show for it as well.
Yeah.
It's weird. And even more interestingly, they're aiming for an October release date. This is in Grand Theft Auto territory now. So either they know something the rest of us don't, or they're very confident in their product, but I don't think this beats GTA 6. I just don't.
Oh, no. I can't wait for that one.
Yeah.
Just give us another trailer, Rockstar. They might not even give us a second trailer at this rate.
Just shadow drop it.
Things
I
go
have a
crazy.
I've got a strange feeling it's going to get delayed. I don't
Again.
know why. Well, they didn't delay it again, did they? They only said that the release window was 2025. And they dropped the trailer in 2023.
Was it really?
Yeah, so we've heard nothing since that trailer dropped. Nothing in the way of delays. No more leaks.
No solid release date.
No solid release date, but they're going to take as much time as they want.
Yeah.
Especially if they do what they did with 5, and that was, we're going to launch the campaign, and then 30 days later we'll open up the online because we want people to experience the campaign. And I'm all right with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See. We shall see. Should we get on to the conversation around
Little device we bought.
a little device that we've bought?
Got
mine.
Device. And if you're watching the video podcast on YouTube, just blowing the dust off it. There you
Yeah.
go. Hey.
It's got the PlayStation Portal that
Yep.
I bought. But alongside that, we've also done the second jump. You moved over to PlayStation, what now, 2 or so months back?
Yeah. Something like
And I've also now made
Dun, dun,
the
dun.
jump with a 12-month commit to PlayStation
There
in
you
terms
go.
of their online service. And I've rolled back my Xbox subscription down to core, and I can see it getting rolled back to flat because there's just nothing on core that I want to use anyway. And if
Yeah.
I'm not playing any online games on there, then I could go the whole hog. But there is something that really needs to come through. And that's something, well, one, fortunately, the PlayStation app on Mac to play, remote play, works most of the time. But I have noticed something that happens. I don't know whether if it's leaving the PlayStation 5 in rest mode for such a long time or what.
Mm.
But I have had issues with both, actually. The PlayStation Portal app and the PlayStation app just not wanting to connect to my machine.
Mm.
And just when you wanted to work out the bloody box, and you don't have the TV. And I know right now that unless I imagine I don't have the TV, someone's watching the telly. I'd have to do a reboot of the PlayStation and possibly make sure that it's rebooted properly or
Mm-hmm.
troubleshoot it if it hasn't fixed the thing, take control of the main telly to see what the hell I'm doing to fix the thing. I just hope that element gets fixed and I could probably do the full shift jump. Because if not, well, Xbox's kind of play anywhere thing becomes like in Jumanji, you've got the vines that grab you back. It could be something that could be an element for me because I do play a lot more, either on the laptop, streaming on the laptop with a
Well,
controller than I do on the
you've got
screen.
a couple of options. You could always move your PlayStation to your other desk or whatever, your other
There's
setup.
the fucking size of the thing, mate. Come on.
Or
There's
there's
no
the second
room.
option. You get yourself a PS5 Slim. There you go.
That's-
I think it's gone down in price now, the Slim.
yeah.
So that's an option. No, what you've touched on is completely valid. I mean, that was the biggest and probably still to this day number one complaint with the Portal, and that is its connection. It's a streaming device for those that don't know, so it doesn't process any of the game on device. It's doing it completely remote, whether it's from the PSN cloud or from your own console. So you do have to have a really good connection. Fortunately for me, I've had a flawless connection. So I cannot fault it from that perspective. I've got my PS5 Pro hardwired into one of my mesh system nodes, and then that node wirelessly connects to the node in the other room I'm playing, and then obviously
Yeah.
wirelessly transmits to my Portal. So while I do notice the slightest difference in reaction time and latency with Ghost of Tsushima, it's completely playable. And after about a minute, I'm sucked in and I don't even notice the latency anymore. It becomes normal for me. Playing Oblivion on the Portal was a different story.
All right.
Because of how delayed those controls felt, even when playing it on the PlayStation, adding that latency in addition to that delay, I can't play that game on the Portal.
Oh, really?
There is such a gap between pushing the button and something happening on screen. Yeah, there's like a second and a half, 2 seconds delay between what I'm doing versus what I'm seeing. So I think it's game specific because other things like the menu system and I did try something else. I forgot what it was. Have been perfect. Sony did make the odd choice though to only include Wi-Fi 5 in the PS Portal, most likely because of cost reasons.
Yeah.
Which is a very weird one. But PS5 Pro has Wi-Fi 7. So even if you have that thing Wi-Fi'd up, it does make a difference. Now that I'm all in on the PlayStation ecosystem, and we're in Switch 2 hype territory.
Yeah.
I've wanted a handheld for a while. My first Switch is kind of dead. So I really wanted this, and I got some Amazon gift cards, and I'm like, you know what? It's only $1.99. Screw it. Let me just do it. I have to say though, those issues that you're experiencing aside, it is such a beautiful device.
Yeah.
The build quality, the way it works, just it's borderline flawless for me. I know it's
Well, the
got a
fact that
lot
you've got
of
that dual sense, experience built
yeah.
into it as well,
If I'm to complain only about one thing, and I'm not even sure if there's anything they could have done differently. It's just the way they handled the touchpad.
Oh, right,
Because
with
that is
the weird button
yeah,
press to bring up a menu. Yeah, I was in Destiny. I
yeah,
was like, how do I get this map up?
because that's on screen now. And in Ghost of Tsushima, you have to stroke up to see the wind direction. but you got to tap it once to get the thing up on screen and then tap it again to execute the command or whatever. So it's like a double tap now, if that makes sense. That's the only thing that I probably say I'm not the biggest fan of. But
Yeah.
it's such a small thing. It's okay once you figure it out. Battery life has been great. I had it probably going for about 5 days before I needed to recharge.
Yeah.
Maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours playing each night.
Yeah, I was
But it's
really
really,
surprised how good the battery was on it, to be honest.
yeah.
It
But
seems
it's
to have possibly better battery life than the Steam Deck.
interesting. But the Steam
But
Deck would be processing on device, though.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
doing
true.
stuff, so that's
Yeah.
probably what it is. It's completely passively cooled. There's no fans, no noise. It's
Yeah.
instant turn on. The UI is beautiful, the way it kind of does that Doctor Strange circular swoosh that sucks you into your thing. And then once you connect, it's such a pleasant experience. You literally just have a replica of your home console.
Yeah.
And even if I don't have a home console, I can just stream from PSN Cloud now. So
Yeah,
that
have you
gives it.
tried the beta out? What's the beta streaming like on the portal?
I try Ghost of Tsushima on that as well, and
Mm.
it's great. It's just it's almost identical to the console.
Yeah.
I think it's Sony added that because you may have people that don't want to buy the console, but they're okay with spending $200 and maybe $20 here and there for a cloud streaming service, and this attacks that. This deals with that. I like it because it gives me options. So if I'm outside of the house, well, now I've got a choice depending on whatever's best at the time. Fortunately, I've got a gigabyte up and 2 gig down at home in my internet connection. So I don't think sending a stream elsewhere is going to be a problem for me, but it is going to increase latency the further I am from my console. So
Yeah.
maybe the cloud option gives me that better latency. Who knows? I don't know where the cloud server is physically hosted. But again,
Yeah.
it just reinforces the fact that at least for me personally, I've really wanted a handheld for a while now while waiting for the Switch. Even though the Switch 2 is around the corner and I've got it pre-ordered, I still don't regret it because it just allows me to play my PlayStation in more comfortable situations. I can lay down on the couch in another room or be in the toilet, or away from home. And another thing which I found interesting is one of the big talking points about the Switch 2 was its screen and how it's not an OLED, but it's an amazing LCD. And one of the big comparisons that I keep hearing about is it's almost identical to the Switch's the PlayStation Portal screen because that's an
Right.
LCD. Now, if the Switch 2 screen is like the PlayStation Portal, I've got no issues. None,
Right. Yeah.
which is what they're saying. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
Nice.
So yeah, all in all, I don't regret the purchase. I'm really happy with it. I'm shopping around for a case at the moment just to not get it dusty.
I've already got the
Have
old
you
case.
got one?
Argos did a bundle.
Oh gosh, there you go.
Argos did the bundle.
There you go.
If there was anything that I would like to see improved for outside, obviously this connection problem, I would have liked perhaps a little bit more on the external speakers, but then if I've got my headphones plugged in, it's not a problem. I just found the external speakers a little bit. I don't know. They've obviously had
It's
to
lacking in the
compromise for
low end.
space. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
I know what you mean.
yeah.
Yeah.
But otherwise, plug those headphones in. It doesn't make it doesn't really matter. To be honest with you. So that's pretty good. And then just as an aside of that, then we also noticed that we were getting a bit fond from Xbox in terms of when it came to its reward system, which we know has been absolutely rubbish for a while. You'd have to spend tons of money to get even a $5 gift card or whatever, £5 over here. And I never really, it was PlayStation stars were sitting on the account. Didn't really think too much of it since I got the PS5. And then you mentioned to me that you're racking up points like through the wazoo. And I
Yeah.
was like, I'm not like getting anywhere close to it. But it turns out that it's also weighted towards actually getting, playing the game and unlocking the trophies in games to
Hmm.
get rewarded with, actually decent credit to actually get free games.
Yeah. Something that people have been asking Microsoft to do for years. Oh,
Yeah,
it'd be nice if I could redeem these achievements for something.
yeah,
And literally, PlayStation are doing that, but they've hardly made any noise about it. I remember the initial announcement when Stars got announced. but it's been pretty, dead. I look up and all of a sudden I've got, and I got to figure this out because my stars is at a level 4 right now,
Mm.
and I can't seem to get it above a level 4. Now I don't know if I've
I
maxed
think
out or if
4
I
is
need.
the max out. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, there's that, and then I've got, I don't know how many points I've got, but it equates to something like 40 something dollars in rewards.
Mm.
So in the PlayStation app on my iPhone, I literally go through the redeem screen and I can redeem them for full games or
Yeah.
multiples of $10 gift cards, which I think I even get more bang for buck in. I can get probably like 5 of them, $50.
Yeah.
And you know how long it took me to save to redeem my Microsoft points to get my Starfield wrap for my Xbox?
Yeah.
It took me like 8, 9 months, maybe longer. Meanwhile, I'm just literally earning trophies and getting them.
Yeah.
It's honestly, I'm just like,
I mean, that's going
I
to really, as well, just give you that extra thing to go platinum something as well.
yeah, and Microsoft still haven't figured out a platinum equivalent on that side of things. In fact, I think they've completely neglected achievements
Mm.
since the 360 when they introduced it,
Yeah.
because achievements have become so horrible to the point now where they don't sync up. Unlocking them, there's a delay. And it used to be the other way around. It used to be PlayStation that suffered with the trophy system on the PS3 when they introduced it.
Yeah. Yeah.
In fact, PS3 didn't even launch with trophies. They had to retroactively fit that in an update. So all the launch titles never had trophy. I think Metal Gear 4 or 3 or something didn't have trophies. Like, it was weird. One of the Uncharted games didn't have trophies.
Yeah.
And I'm
That was a
just
pleasant surprise.
I'm pleasantly surprised because I've said this before. I've been so anti Sony over the last few years. And Game Pass for me was really a chance for Microsoft to catch up. And they bought the studios. And instead of saying, you know what, if we just make these games exclusive, we could bury Sony and capture the whole market, they do the complete opposite and say, oh, we've got these studios, let's put them everywhere and keep us in third place.
Mm.
Like, why am I, we've got plenty of episodes where we talk about this, but for me, it's not about the value. For some out there, I'm not going to knock it. Value's everything, and that's a completely valid argument. I can't even argue against that. 20 a month for a really big selection of games,
Mm.
especially this year, some
Mm.
fantastic games. But me, if I'm a one, look, at the end of the day, people say, oh, just buy all consoles. Okay, first of all, not everyone can buy all consoles. That's the first thing.
Mm.
Second of all, even if you own all consoles like I do, most people have a main platform. No
Yeah.
one mains all 3 consoles plus a Steam Deck and a PC. It's just not possible. You've
Mm.
got one place that's your favorite, and then you've got other places for those exclusives or certain friends. Xbox was my main, so I did the majority of my gaming there. The problem is the majority of those exclusives were not on Xbox.
Mm.
However, the games I did play on Xbox were everywhere else. So, me switching to PlayStation, yeah, I lose Game Pass, but at the same time, PSN Premium, while it's not as cost efficient and has a bigger library as Game Pass, it's
Yeah.
very close, very close.
Mm.
Um, and I'm catching up on all these first party exclusives. And by the time I finish them, Wolverine will be out, and the next wave of Sony hits will be out. I'm honestly like really surprised with the PS5.
How do you think? There's one thing that I've started to think about it. If there is a shortage on the PlayStation side, and and you are going to get more of that reliance on Xbox games getting ported to PlayStation. I mean, if you look at it on the surface, you know, it would look very different if those Xbox games hadn't come over to PS5.
Very
Like
different.
Forza was a big one for me to play that again on that DualSense controller. So there's still a tiny little part of me that's getting a little bit worried, like, am I going to have to sync 50, 70 every time something decent comes out? Or,
Hmm.
or is there I think there's a bit of a, I'm quite happy in an original environment to wait for something until I can afford to get it, or just finish stuff, or try and get back to
Yeah,
traditionally actually, going through games and savoring them and then playing something else. But I've also got the trade-off that when it comes to our podcast episodes, I can't drop 50, 70 on a dime every
Every
time.
time, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
do you
no,
know,
it is.
like,
It is a tough balance. I think what people have to really start getting used to is using their wish lists.
mm,
Admittedly, I've been one that never used it for the longest time, and actually, I think the first Switch got me into wish listing. And then, really, I think you nailed it. You know, it's okay. Why we cannot absolutely pay top dollar for every single game on day one,
mm,
wish listing everything. It just creates that bookmarking system. Like, oh, these are all the things I want to play. And then when
yeah,
you go into the store, you can see literally in your wish list which ones are on sale and which ones are not. So you can make an educated, decision right then and there to say, oh, well, this one's half off right now. I've always wanted to play it. Let me do that one. So
yeah,
just use
yeah.
your wish lists
Take advantage of it that way.
smartly. Yeah, take advantage. And then again, we always talked about, maybe there's a day where everything dries up on the Sony side. You can dip in and dip out of these subscriptions, which is the beauty
Yeah,
of it.
yeah, yeah,
So if we get 5 bangers in a single month from Xbox, hey,
yeah.
what's 20 for 5 bangers?
No, exactly. And I think this is the thing that, you look at the argumentation from the Xbox side, and it's always like, oh, look at this, we're only getting this for X amount or whatever. The way they try and justify the argument point, but in reality, though, it's kind of okay. But then you're not paying just 20 for that, are you? Because the chance of some of these games, you're not going to complete them within that cycle.
Time frame, yeah. You're going to
So
end
you
up
could
paying
end up
full
paying
price for
more
these.
for some of them or full price.
And that's Xbox's job, is to keep, that's any business's
Mm,
job, is to keep that subscription rolling as long as possible.
yeah.
It's absolutely that.
It's just Oblivion. It's
Look,
a perfect game for Game Pass, really, 'cause it's going to keep
there
people
you go.
locked in because it's so huge.
I think that's honestly one of the strategies.
Yeah.
And I think honestly, if Fortnite wasn't a free to play game, if that was on Game Pass, holy crap, they would have had that thing
Yeah.
going for life. There are people who pay 20 just to play that.
Yeah, yeah. It's a
So
weird one that we've not seen either Sony or Xbox kind of leverage the online subscription as a, you know, putting something on there that is a free game, but you can only play it with an online subscription.
well, no, they did. They used to have it like that, and then everyone kept like attacking them for putting games behind a paywall and all this stuff. So it
Oh,
created a
right.
sour taste. So I think Phil Spencer removed it a couple of years ago. Look,
Yeah.
gaming's changing. We've all got our opinions of it. We've all got our circumstances, what works best and what doesn't. I think for me personally, I've gotten to a point where I've become so tired of defending Xbox, and Game Pass isn't enough of a justification for me to stick with the platform when I'm missing out on all these games elsewhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Nintendo are going to be Nintendo. You're only going to get them on Nintendo devices, and that's fine. I don't see a day where Mario ends up on PlayStation and Xbox. So people saying that exclusives are dead, no. The business model that Sony and Microsoft subscribe to is dead. It's working perfectly fine for Nintendo. Perfectly
Yeah.
fine. And, Switch 2 pre-orders from what I can see have been selling out. And the first Switch was the second most sold console in video game history. So they're doing something right. Just look at the numbers, not predictions.
We saw a number of PlayStation games, albeit older PlayStation games, I think PS4 territory,
Yeah,
finding
we
their
got
way onto Switch. Do you ever see Sony going the other way and putting some of their titles on Xbox? Like, could Spider-Man
yeah.
ever find its way on the Xbox?
I don't think Spider-Man will, because that's not only a PlayStation game, but it's also a Sony IP in general from the movie perspective. So I don't think that one will ever show up. I mean, that would be a seller in itself.
Yeah.
But people will argue they have been doing it already. So you've got not little, but you've got some edge cases like MLB The Show. That's shown up on Game Pass now for the last 3, maybe 4 years. So they could argue that's a big one. We got Death Stranding recently, albeit 5 years after release date.
But what about
But
first party? Not signed exclusivity, but first party side of things.
this is the thing. I don't know if I see it.
Yeah.
There was a very interesting interview that popped up on Destin Legary's YouTube channel on his podcast. It was an interview with Sean Layden, the ex-CEO of Sony. And they talk about exclusivities. They talk about the changing industry. They talk about missed opportunities and things like that. I really, implore people to go and watch that. It's about an hour and something long. Really insightful. Because on
Yeah.
one hand, you've got a company like Microsoft where they've got Sarah Bond, Phil Spencer, Matt Booty, and their social media teams. They're very Microsoft Xbox is a very accessible brand. You'll always see interviews from those people, or
Mm.
you'll always hear things from them. PlayStation are a lot more elusive.
Mm.
They're not always out there. You don't really see them do interviews. So to hear Sean Layden kind of, talk about some of the things that happen, especially around the Xbox One era with the whole digital sharing and the 180 on the always
Mm.
online situation, was really interesting. He believes that Xbox just handed them the generation at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'd rather support a platform where I can get more games than less. Game Pass doesn't necessarily mean more games for me. It just means more games, but not. I may not like all of them.
Mm.
What rubbed me the wrong way though is Final Fantasy VII. Switch 2 got that before Xbox did.
Yeah.
Like even till this day, we still see an Xbox developer direct, or not a developer direct, but there will be some sort of a show where it will be on PC, Nintendo, and PlayStation.
Yeah.
Xbox is still being excluded, and at this point, they must have something in the business side of things that's putting off developers from joining the platform.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't support it. I mean, I love. There's an indie game, and I know I'm going on about this. One last point. There's an indie game called Oxenfree.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love the first game. Second one didn't even make it to the Xbox.
No.
A little game like that,
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
Indeed. Well, I think that pretty much wraps us up for this episode. By the
Yes,
looks of it. I was going to
indeed.
talk about Schedule 1 briefly, but I mean, I haven't had a chance to play that game, but it's a game we get to be a drug dealer. But we'll
In
save
today's
it
climate,
perhaps for another episode if it ever gets a console port.
indeed.
Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. And we shall see you. Well, we're not 100% sure next, but no doubt there's going to be some interesting action coming up. And then, well, how far are we away from? We're still away from Summer Showcases June, isn't it?
I think we've got 5 weeks until the Xbox show. Let me
Yeah.
just check that really quickly, because I think they're the only ones who've announced theirs.
Mm.
Xbox showcase is on the 8th of June. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bethesda and Xbox are the same now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay,
Sony
okay.
normally puts theirs about a week before Xbox, so maybe beginning of
Yeah.
June, but there you have
Ah.
it.
Well,
Busy season.
we'll let you know what happens unless there's some major interesting game releases. Maybe we'll catch a breath before it all kicks off again. We'll let you know anyway on the main channels and stuff. Anyway,
Indeed.
that's it for this episode, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.